Hello there, listeners, and thank you for joining us on the CATCast, Chatham Area Transit's podcast, where we focus on everything local transit and Chatham County. Today's episode will be hosted by CAT Executive Director and CEO Faye DiMassimo. She will be joined by two very special guests. Please welcome Chatham County Chairman Chester Ellis and Chatham County Manager Michael Kaigler to the first ever CATCast.
Welcome to the first inaugural CATCast, Chatham Area Transit's new podcast. And we are so pleased that for our very first CATCast, we have Chairman Ellis with us today from the Chatham County Commission. And we also have County Manager Michael Kaigler. So we are excited, and we're just going to have a conversation about transit in Chatham County and a conversation about CAT in particular. So we are looking forward to a good and lively conversation today. Thank you both so much for being here with us.
Thank you for inviting us.
Absolutely. The county is absolutely one of our most critical partners in delivering our services in Chatham County. So we're eager for this conversation. So our first question is, let's discuss our perspectives on the value of CAT in Chatham County. And what is quality public transit? If you're just defining and talking about what is quality public transit, what does that look like? Chairman, we're going to start with you.
Well, the quality I would look at would be getting folks from point A to point B, getting them from where they are to where they need to be. And quality means that you're meeting that need. You have identified that need through whether you did a public survey or whether you ask your riders as to what their needs were, and then formulating a program to meet those needs.
Absolutely.
And for me, I think when you talk about quality public transportation, I think about dependability. Being on time. Having a schedule where people know, when the bus is going to be there. How long it's going to take them to get there. Those kind of things. Feeling safe when you're riding the bus. Knowing that the bus drivers are well trained, they're going to get you where you need to be. Having a clean, mode of transportation to ride in. So those are the kind of things I think about when we talk about quality transportation. Folks feel good about, using the service.
Absolutely. Well, you're both spot on. I'll tell you the other part of it that I think about, and it's been something that's really come to mind lately, is where does every transit trip start?
Correct.
It starts at a stop and at one of our shelters. And it's got to always be a place where people are waiting in a safe and in a dignified way.
Right.
And so that's one of our key focus areas for this year, in addition to improving our service of being on time and getting people to the places where they need to go, is that where they are waiting for us to start them on that trip, we want to be sure that it's well lit and that there are places to sit. We've been doing ride-arounds lately just to note, for example, maybe there's somebody who's waiting at a stop where we presently only have a sign and there's nowhere to sit, but it might be one of our senior residents here in Chatham County, or it might be somebody who currently has a mobility issue. Maybe they're with a walker and they need more support there in order to be able to wait reliably and wait safely and so forth. So we've been doing ride-arounds to note those kinds of things. And we're doing some work right now where we've got every one of our, who knows all the passengers better than anyone, our operators, our professional operators. So they're working with us right now to help bring that information back. They know everybody and they know who might, be having a particular situation this week, or Miss Jones needs some help at her stop right now. And so they're bringing that information back to us, and we're trying to do some things to make sure we're addressing those kinds of needs in the community.
Right.
Exciting times. What is the greatest challenge facing Chatham and our region? Because I know the chairman plays a critical role in the MPC and with a lot of the regional conversations that are occurring right now around economic development and job creation and all those kinds of things happening all around us. And where can CAT be a part of the solutions, a sort of a valuable tool in the toolkit, so to speak?
Well, I think what we need to do is we need to find out exactly what the business need as well as the riders' needs are. Coming in this region, we are challenged now to come up with a master plan that will fit those needs. And so gathering the data and I'm a data-driven person. Grabbing the data to know, try to know at least all of the I's and the T's, so that we can dot them and cross them. We're getting ready to be challenged to move transportation in Chatham County on a regional level. Parts of Chatham County that we have not reached in the past, we're going to need to reach. And then the 4 counties around us will be needing of services to get workers. We are in the midst now of, I would say, growing pains. And that means more industry here. That means more jobs, more workers, and the need for public transportation to get them there. And it's going to be critical because of traffic that we have. We weren't able to get all the traffic situations set up yet. And so therefore we're going to be bothered with traffic, and bulk moving is rather than single moving. The more singular moves we have, the more cars we have on the road, the more trucks on the road. But if we can move folks around in bulk, when I say bulk, I'm talking about somewhere between 15 to 18 riders per hour on every route that we're running, and make sure we're doing that efficiently and effectively. I think those are the challenges that's going to meet us, and it's head on right here now. It's not coming. It's already here. Absolutely. And so to plan for those things during 2023 so that by the time 24 gets here and we need to kick them in action, we have an action plan.
Absolutely. I think there's 2 pieces to that too, Chairman. There's one, what's called commuter express service, which they have up in Atlanta, which is the bigger coaches that move people, to your point, move larger numbers of people back and forth from point A to point B. And then there's MicroTransit, which is also something that you are both aware of, that we're working with in terms of our master transit plan development right now, which is more of creating some zones where we can have some smaller vehicles, but they can get in and out of neighborhoods, and they can reach people and do it with a far deeper sort of equity reach into our neighborhoods and our communities, and in areas where we don't have any transit service, but we have major transit lines maybe that bound a particular area, particularly in lots of our unincorporated Chatham County areas. We're also really proud right now with the expansion we've got going on in Port Wentworth and Garden City, and they're, coming forward and being our funding partners and making that happen. So those are the kinds of things, but I completely agree with you. The growth is, we're in an enviable place right now, but also it comes with challenges too. So
it does. And I think that, as Chairman alluded to, that workforce readiness, that's going to be a key issue for us as we experience those growing pains. And not only here in Chatham County, but, in the 4 county region. We're going to have to look at transportation, globally. And that's going to be one of the key, challenges that we're going to face over the next few years. Also, the influx of tourists that we have, in the downtown area, being able to move the tourists from site to site, from destination to destination, is going to be critical. So, looking at that for our workforce readiness, also with the influx of visitors we have, that's also going to be a challenge that I know you're up for the task.
Well, let me ask you a question, both of you. That you bring up workforce readiness. That's a great point. How are we going to, so we all know CAT's gotten into the electric vehicle business. We've got the electric vehicle market growing all around us. How are we going to really integrate that in with our education, both at the high school level and tech college and so forth? How are we going to integrate all that in, do you think, to make sure that our residents are getting great advantage of all of this economic opportunity around us?
The Chairman's been really involved in that, and I'll let him kind of give you his vision as to what he's been thinking about, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we're in the point now where we have to understand what workforce readiness means. And right now, the 5 top businesses in Chatham County have come together and put a coalition together. And we've hired a firm to do a study. That study is about need and because not only is it workforce development, but it's housing development and some of the other issues that are coming on the table. But we must take care of those businesses that are here, right? We know that Honda is coming, and the electric cars are coming, the electric buses are coming, electric trucks are coming, but we all still have a workforce that's already here. So how do we meet those needs and not have our new partners take all of the workforce and the rest of us starve for workers? And so those are the kind of plans we're going now. And I think that what will happen in the very near future is that we're going to have to look at starting to get our kids ready for the job market that is to come. And so we're going to partner with the school system and come up with a plan that's going to have our kids start in 9th to 12th grade getting ready. But then that program has to expand all the way down to, I think, as low as 3rd grade, or we start to talk to kids about what their desires are, what their ideas are, what they want to be, and then the steps to get there. You know, if we can help them to get where they need to be, if they coming out of high school, if they're trained to operate the CAT motor vehicle, then you hire somebody for life, you know, and so to get those kinds of programs going throughout our school system is crucial, because not only do we need to think about what the workforce looks like now, but we need to look like what it's going to look like 5-10 years from now.
Absolutely.
So that's how we develop getting them ready for that.
And
I
I will
love
say,
the idea too that the chairman had about really going when kids are a lot, when they're excited about learning things.
Right.
Even before they get up into the higher grade levels of school. I love that idea of capturing their energy soon.
and we everybody, you can kind of see that the electric vehicle is the wave of the future. Us, we're at a point now where we can get on the ground floor of that new technology, and it wouldn't be outside of the realm of possibility that we could mimic like what they did in Detroit, where we have a number of manufacturing facilities in this region. We got one, we could have 2 or 3 that cater and make electric vehicles.
Absolutely.
We got all the components. We're going to have a lot of major suppliers here, so it's something that I think like we can get on the ground floor and we can take advantage of. So we're really excited about the possibility.
Absolutely. So we're going to change a little bit. What are the greatest challenges and the greatest opportunities that you see for CAT over the next 5 years?
Over the next 5 years, I think that the greatest challenges that I see is ridership, and that's a problem all over the country. I can remember when coming out of, let's say, Carver Village, where I live, that 6 o'clock bus and that 7 o'clock bus, there are 35 to 40 riders. Now we got 5 or 6, 7, 8, sometime. And so we need to meet those needs, getting folks from point A to point B. There are more cars now in the neighborhood than ever before. Okay, and so a lot of folks are doing ride sharing even before ride sharing was a thing. And so how does the public transportation play a part in that? How do you ride share, to get folks from point A to point B and from their start to where they finish, and then back from their finish back to their start? So I think the challenge there is to find out what the needs so we can do it effectively and efficiently, because it will be a thing where being transparent enough to know what you need, when you need it, and where you need it. And I think those are the questions that we have before us right now that we need to answer. So some of it we're going to have to try to plot for the future, because we don't know those exact numbers. But if we look at what's projected for Chatham County, and I'm just talking about Chatham County now, if the population's going to double in the next 3 to 5 years, so we were talking about now having a population of about 600,000 or more. So that means more people will need more transportation. So how do we know where we need to be, when we need to be there, and then what size bus are you sending? Are you sending the larger bus? Are you sending the smaller bus? Are you sending the paratransit bus? So that becomes a challenge.
I think there's a couple of things. I think you are absolutely on target with the things that we're hearing at the national level, but that are really, I think, important to us. And Chairman, I think there's a couple of things that points out. One is now more than ever, we've got to think regionally. because those trips, a lot of them will have a start in Chatham County, but they may have an end in Bryan or Effingham or somewhere else, or vice versa, right? So I think that the notion that we've really got to think about our transportation system regionally in a way that maybe we hadn't had to do as much up until now is critically important. And I think that's one thing. And I think the other thing is, and this is something that we're seeing all across the country too, is maybe some of it has to do with COVID, but maybe some of it just is the market was already shifting, but we're seeing it so much more clearly now, is that the traditional, everybody's always thought of the transit system in communities all across America as being there's fixed route, right? And that's your major trunk lines and your big buses and all that. And then paratransit, which was serving those that needed a more door-to-door service and oftentimes had some sort of a unique need. They might be a senior or have a mobility challenge or whatever. And now what we're seeing in communities all across America is that maybe we don't need maybe as much or the same kind of fixed route but we need something very different than the traditional paratransit product. We need this microtransit type of, which is still providing a paratransit service too, but it's also providing an everybody service, to your point, Chairman, of being able to let people make choices about and give them choices about how they get to the places they need and want to go.
It's all about being flexible. I think you hit it on the head. In the South here, we have a love with our automobile.
We do.
But we can't continue to build roads like we do. If you drive on any 95, 16, you see the congestion there. So being flexible and being able to meet the needs of the change in public, I think is going to be critical for us. So that's one of the big challenges that we're going to have. Our ability to shift and maneuver based on what the demand is.
I'll make a shameless plug for Cat here too. You knew you were expecting me to do that at some point. Is that, when we talk about what are the challenges and opportunities, I think transit and Cat being the local transit system, I think transit has the unique opportunity to be that flexibility. We can be flexible in the way that a road can't, but we can make that road do more. We can make that road have more capacity just by nature of the transit that runs on it. Right. So I think that ability to be able to see that future and then have transit as that really essential tool in the toolkit to make it happen is really important.
I think the other challenge that we're going to face is changing the perception of public transportation. Public transportation has always been looked at least in the South, as that venue or that mechanism to take people from point A to point B because they didn't have any other resources. And the challenge in the future is going to be to make it so appealing that that's your first choice. You choose public transportation versus getting in your automobile and driving across town.
There's a book that I've recently read, County Manager Kaigler, that I thought was really important, and it challenged me about something related to what you just talked about. As we've always thought that, exactly as you described it, that transit is often for those with fewer choices. But what this book, it's called Better Cities, Better Buses, challenged me to think about in terms of public transit is that the truth of the matter is that even members of our community, our friends and neighbors with fewer options will find other options if the transit system isn't a great one. If it's not also providing them with a good experience, even those with fewer choices will find other choices to make. And so the challenge is that what you always really want to be doing is trying to build a transit system for everybody. And then that way, it's a great system. Everybody wants to ride it, including folks that we need to take great care of in our community and those that we hope ride us as well, right? Make us part of a successful system. So, so what are our last thoughts and comments that you may have for us, sort of your words of wisdom for Cat as we are all embarking upon a great vision to the future here in Chatham County? What are your sort of words of wisdom for us?
Well, I think that what the public should know, and especially elected officials should know, that transit here in Chatham County is a work in progress, and it's going to work out better when we all push in the same direction rather than push against each other. It's not so much as who's in charge except who we're serving. And if we look at public transportation as a serving entity, it serves the need, it helps the need of where we're going and how we get there, okay? Because, even with the new industries and things coming, there's going to be the challenge of getting folks from one place to another. Even as we move our college students and our high school students from one place to the other, that's going to be a challenge for us. And so when we look at sitting at the round table and having input from everyone, and I think one of the greatest set of input that you can get is for those from whom you serve. Mm-hmm. Those who have the transit system now as their mode of transportation, and then those of us who are casual riders, making sure that it gets me where I need to be, when I need to be there, and fast and efficiently.
Chairman, I'm so glad you brought that up, because one of the things that we're deep in this week as a part of our master transit plan effort is we're actually doing, we've already done a lot of the survey work of our riders, our current riders, but we're actually out this week on the buses with surveys in hand, literally taking survey input from those who are riding with us, our current riders, because sometimes, going online isn't always as accessible for everyone. And sometimes those, everybody loves the QR code kinds of scan things now, but sometimes that doesn't work for folk too. And we didn't want it to be intimidating. So we wanted to be sure that we were out there with folks. So this entire week, we're riding the buses and collecting survey information from our riders.
Sometimes you get amazed by when you put surveys out on social media and things, those who are making comments are not the ones who are using the service,
This
and
is
so
true.
you get what I call a negative impact, but those who use the service can tell you more what they need, and I think that's where we need to greatest our focus, okay? But again, even those who don't use the public transit service need to be pushing in the same direction and not be pushing against, trying to tear down. Do we have, and when I say we, I'm talking about those of us in government, those of us in business, those of us who help, do we have all the answers? No, nobody has all the answers. But with work in progress, then we are flexible enough to make it work for everyone.
Well, I will tell you, I was telling Mr. Kaigler when he first arrived today that so Friday will be my first year with CAT, and I will tell you that to that point, certainly we have a lot of difference of opinion about all kinds of things in our community. I also think that's what makes us stronger and better, is there's lots of opportunity to share different perspectives and so forth. But I will tell you, for this first year, I think CAT has enjoyed a remarkable amount of support and energy from everyone, certainly from Chatham County, from the cities in the county, and from many of our partners, whether that's GDOT or our business community or whomever it might be. We've enjoyed a huge amount of support, and I think that that's why we've seen so much progress in what seems like a pretty short amount of time. We've moved a lot in a year. We've still got a lot to do, and one of the things that we do, and our team talks about this, is we come in every day. The minute our feet hit the floor in the morning, the first thing we do is start to think about how are we going to make CAT better today, and how are we going to earn your trust and confidence today, and how are we going to make sure somebody's experience riding with us today is better than it was last week. So we've still got a work in progress, as you say, but know that is our intention, and that's the heart that we come to work with every day.
And we appreciate it. And as Chairman said, for the ridership, we really want their input because they're the ones that are using the service. But I would also encourage the business community, the employers in this area. Let's hear from you. We need, suggestions that will help make us a better community, and having an efficient and effective public transit system will make this community better. So the input is what we need.
Very good. Well, I want to thank Chairman Ellis and the county manager for joining us today for our first inaugural CATCast. Look forward to having more guests come and join us and sharing more opinions throughout the community about the future of Chatham Area Transit. So thank you all for joining us today.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And that concludes our first ever CATCast. A massive thank you to Chatham County Chairman Chester Ellis and Chatham County Manager Michael Kaigler for joining us. Your dedication and hard work for the citizens of Chatham County do not go unnoticed. And finally, thank you to the listener for tuning in. There will be more exciting episodes to come. And until then, take care and catch a cat.